In Textile Construction 1, we use the Juki sewing machine. There are lots of parts to this machine. We're going to focus on the parts that you're going to use most often in Textile Construction 1. And then you'll become more familiar in Textile Construction 2 and Design Studio. The first part that we're going to talk about is this number. It has a blade in it, and it will trim your thread on the side of the machine if you need it. Number 7 is the slide plate. Okay, this is the casing for the bobbin area. So you will have in here a bobbin cover, and then you will actually have where you set your bobbin cover with your bobbin to start sewing. Okay, this just raises and lowers, but that is where your bobbin is in the slide plate number 7. Number 8 is the throat plate. That's this entire metal piece right here. And the most important part about the throat plate is going to be the grid right here. This has the different measurements you will use for your seam allowances, which we'll get to next week. Number 9 is going to be your bobbin thread shaft up here. This is where your bobbin will sit when you go to thread your bobbin. Number 10 is going to be the bobbin presser. Once you have your bobbin ready to go, you're going to press this lever down to lock it in place, and then your machine will thread your bobbin for you, and then you press it back to remove your bobbin. It just simply holds your bobbin in place so it doesn't move around when you're threading it. Number 11 is going to be your stitch length dial. The amount of space between your stitches is going to be determined by this dial. 2 is where you're going to do the majority of your projects, but as you increase in number on the dial, the space between the stitches will grow in length. Once again, 2 is going to be where the majority of our projects indicate that you're going to sew. Number 12 is going to be, with the scissors here, is going to be your automatic thread cutter. As you're sewing and you're finished with your seam, all you have to do is press the button, and there's a set of blades underneath your throat plate that are going to cut your threads for you. Number 13 is this little rabbit and turtle. There's a lever here with 3 different speeds. When you start, most likely you're going to start with the turtle, but this is your speed control. And as you get a little bit more comfortable, in Textile Construction 1, I think the most of you will be somewhere between the turtle and the second dial, just as far as it's got comfort level. Number 14 is going to be your needle up down. And when I press this button, you're going to see that the needle drops and then comes back up. That just pulls your bobbin through. So I'm going to press it and the needle drops and lowers. You can set this so that every time you finish, your needle is down or your needle is up. Number 15 is going to be your reverse lever. And when we start seam allowances, you're going to see that you take a couple stitches forward and then you hold this reverse lever down to lock in that bobbin stitch so that your thread does not come out in your seam. Number 19 is going to be your hand wheel. Okay? As you're using the presser foot, you don't need to really handle the hand wheel much. But if you do use the hand wheel, you always want to make sure that you hand wheel towards your body. If I'm sitting at this machine, I want to hand wheel towards my body, and you can see that it raises and lowers the needle. Number 20 is going to be your power plug. That's going to be right here. This is what connects to the wall for electricity, all right? And then number 21 is going to be your on-off power switch. And then 22 would be the plug to your presser foot, okay? If you get to your machine and it doesn't want to sew, obviously make sure you have your power on. And then make sure that this power plug is all the way pressed in, and your your foot pedal plug is all the way in as well. It might just have been jarred loose from the person before you using the machine. Number 23 is the support rod. Okay, this, when you get to your machine, should be down. This, you're going to thread your thread through this to thread the rest of the machine. And by raising it up, it just prevents your thread from getting tangled anywhere down here. It's not the sturdiest, so please make sure you're a little bit delicate with it. Raise it before you start sewing, and then at the end of each hour, make sure that you drop it down before you put the cover back on. Number 25 is the bobbin winder guide. That is this, it's a screw on top. When we get to threading the bobbin and the machine, you're gonna see that you're gonna raise your support rod, and then you'll come through here and then over to your bobbin. This just, once again, prevents your thread from getting all tangled, and it adds tension when you thread your bobbin. Okay, 26 is your presser foot lifter. Okay, this is just going to raise and lower your presser foot. As you're sitting at the machine, you'll just take your hand through here and raise and lower. The one thing that we want to let you know is that please don't just slam it down. If you can raise and lower it gently, it just eases up on the wear of the machines. (27) on your worksheet on page 4, you're going to see that 27 has two kind of arrows going to it. What they're indicating are the spool pins. This one is for a cone thread. We don't use that in textile construction 1. They do in the advanced classes. You're going to use this left spool pin for your thread, and then go through threading your machine. When we get to the bottom part of page 4 in your workbook, you're going to see that the next 7 focus just on this area here. The first one is going to be this needle bar. Okay, this whole kind of clamped area that raises and lowers, that is your needle bar number 1. Your presser foot screw is here, and it seems kind of funny that we're talking about a screw, but when you want to take off the standard presser foot and put on the zipper foot, which we'll use multiple times, you have to loosen and tighten, and when you do so, this whole presser foot comes off. Okay, so you just have to get kind of familiar with tightening and untightening that screw. And you want to make sure that it's tight when you go to sew. Number 3 is the physical presser foot. Once again, we use a zipper foot as well in textile construction. So that's just the 2 different feet you'll use. Number 5 on the bottom is this needle clamp. It's like a little screw. And when you loosen this, the needle will fall out. And then you can put in a new needle, a different needle, and then you'll tighten this to secure this needle in place. Number 6 is the physical needle. Number 7 is the feed dog. That's this kind of like little area that has kind of like claws or teeth. And as I'm hand wheeling towards me, you will see that the feed dog move down in underneath the throat plate, and then they come back up. And what they're doing is these feed dog grab onto your thread and they move your thread through while you're sewing, so you don't have to push or pull. These move as you press down on your pedal, and it just feeds your fabric through. And then number 8, once again, are going to be the guidelines. This kind of grid right here we'll use when we're doing seam allowances, but you'll see fractions and then whole numbers here to just guide you in your seam allowance work.